4 different devices.
What's up, everybody? How are you? It's Real Talk
I'm so
Chronicles.
glad they opened up society.
Yes, everybody. I just hope everybody's having a wonderful day. I hope everybody had a wonderful weekend. There is so much to talk about, and we will get into it very soon. The weather was hot. I hope you're staying hydrated, or whatever your libation is. Hopefully, it's H2O, but it might be something else. Who knows what it is? And I ain't mad at you. I really ain't. Um, the political parties are heating up, and we got a lot to talk about. And that's what we just gonna do. Al, when you get a chance, let me see. Al, I think that's your background. Mute yourself for a second. So we have so
Oh,
much.
you
Like I
here?
said,
Hold on. Okay.
we have so much that's going on in the political party. The mayoral race is heating up. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about candidates that are running for other offices. I will personally tonight some endorsements to some people, and I want your thought on it. I want to hear the Assemblyman's thought on it. We have a special guest. We have some other people that might be chiming in tonight. We have Nicole Yearwood in the building. We'll let her introduce herself. We'll let Assemblyman Al Taylor. So this is Real Talk Chronicles with Assemblyman Al Taylor. This is Real Talk with Al Taylor. I'm your host, Bill Forster. If you watch it on YouTube, subscribe to it. If you watch it from Facebook, share it. Whomever's are button, and we'll go from there. I hope this internet doesn't act up tonight. 5Gs right now, it's been acting up, so we gonna see what's gonna happen tonight. So everybody, welcome everybody that's watching in this is about New York City. Al, can you hear me? Al.
Absolutely, I can hear you. I can see you too.
That's awesome. So talk to me, Al. What's happening, man? Who's this lovely lady we have work with us tonight?
She is amazingly talented, Nicole Yearwood. I don't want to mess up the name, so I'm going to let you do the introduction on what title you're here for. But Nicole did a slamming job last year, just to point references to the 2020 census and beating us over the head. I mean, she had the legislators like reindeers for Santa Claus. We were in line and we were going after the community to make sure, because we lose in the short end if we don't get into the game. And we ended up, I'll let you touch on that also when you introduce yourself. We lost a congressional seat out of the state of New York, and we only missed it by less than 100 people participating. So let me step back, and why don't you take it in right there, Nicole?
So thank you so much, Assemblyman Taylor, Bill Forster, for having me here this evening. I wear a couple of hats, but just all around civic engagement advocate. My own brand is educatedvoter.net, at educatedvoter on forums. I'm getting feedback for myself.
I think, can you hear me? Mute yourself. I think, can you hear me? Mute yourself. Right now. That was my special guest that we had coming in. Al, everybody mute yourself. Finish, Nicole, please. Go ahead.
So all around civic advocate, working on the census as well, worked on the decennial, still there with the Census Bureau. We have data summits that are coming up as well. So we still are working with communities to ensure that they are informed about the data that is available to them and how they can use it. Tomorrow we have a summit on food security. And we've been doing summits, grant writers, philanthropic organizations, any kind of entity, businesses, how they can use the data. Right now, I'm also consulting with Rank the Vote NYC, currently educating people on how to actually rank the vote. In this upcoming primary, we'll be using ranked choice voting for the first time, where people will be able to rank up to 5 candidates in order of their preference. And so we want them to know for the offices of mayor, comptroller, public advocate, borough president, and city council. We want them to make sure that they're informed about this process. And if they have any questions, we'll answer those as well. But that's just the basics of ranked choice voting. I can go into more detail as we have this conversation, but that's why I'm here tonight. Again, just making sure people are informed about the process.
And Nicole, I appreciate you. And last but not least, I had a special guest. I got my uncle in the building, a Harlem educator himself, very astute in what's going on in the know. He is my uncle, which is a blessing. And we were conversing about this earlier, and I said, I'm going to be on with Al tonight. Yeah, that's our uncle. So, Uncle Willie Walker, are you there? I guess we'll wait till he comes back. I'm assuming he might.
Yes,
I know him too. I know him too. Yes.
Okay.
You know what?
Go ahead.
I'm here.
Go ahead. So just
Hey, Uncle Willie.
Hey, nephew, how are you?
So we're going to talk about ranked choice and other stuff. We're getting some echo from your side. We're gonna have. I don't know if it's your phone or is it echo. We're getting some echo.
I don't know. You still getting it?
Can you hear me?
Anybody?
Anybody?
I can hear you.
I hear you.
We're still getting echo though. But basically, we're going to talk about ranked choice voting, the cold year, course, and you know, Al Taylor. So I want you to chime in, get give your feedback on what you feel, ranked choice voting. We're talking about that earlier. We're talking about that earlier. So get feedback from the computer. Okay, so Al, give us some insight, and then we're going to bring Nicole in again. How do you feel about ranked choice voting? Is it good, bad? You're muted. You're muted, Al. Al, you're muted.
Okay, thank you. I took it off.
We got you now. We got you now. Now you froze. So Nicole, okay.
1, 2, check 1, 2.
Oh, go ahead, Al. Go. Al?
It's I think this past the voters 80% that this is what the people wanted. Are you guys hearing me?
Now we're hearing you, but you're coming in mute. You're coming in choppy.
Okay, I'm going.
There you go.
Yeah, I don't understand what's happening there. Let me let Nicole step up, and I'm going to sign out and come back in. Got you.
Okay, so Nicole, I'll ask you. We'll hold it down. That's what Real Talk is all about. We're just going to hold it down. Give us the nooks and the crannies of what's real ranked choice voting.
Mm-hmm.
How does it benefit? How does it hurt? Is it something that we should look forward to? People of color may not really know about it. I'm a little novice to myself on it. Mm-hmm. So just enlighten me, please. Enlighten the Real Talk listening audience on this.
Okay, so one of the things I did manage to hear Assemblyman Taylor say, he was talking about like kind of how we got to ranked choice voting. And so it kind of came up as a solution to runoff elections that have historically had very low turnout. We would have runoff elections if a citywide candidate did not reach 40% of the vote in a primary. We basically were rerunning entire elections again 2 to 3 weeks later, and people just weren't turning out for them. Of course, that's costing the city $13 to $15 million. And so the conversation started about ranked choice voting in 2009, 2010. And then in 2019, the New York City Charter Revision Commission voted 14-1 to place ranked choice voting on the ballot before New Yorkers. So actually, in the November 2019 general election, ranked choice voting was ballot question number 1. There was actually 5 questions on the ballot. Ranked choice voting was the first one, and it received about 73.5% in favor of votes in favor of ranked choice voting. And it was scheduled to begin now in 2021.
Mm-hmm.
We've actually already had 4 special elections this year. 3 of them were ranked choice voting because no candidate received a majority of the vote. So that's the other thing. Ranked choice voting is for the 5 offices: mayor, comptroller, borough president, public advocate, and city council. Now candidates need 50% plus 1 or majority of the vote to be declared the winner in a primary or special election. And so we've had some of those elections already. Runoff elections are now eliminated from the process, and voters can now rank up to 5. Now, one of the things I feel like people don't understand is how their vote moves from one candidate to another. And that's actually by an elimination process called counting of round. So for instance, what will happen is all of the first choice votes will be tabulated. If no one meets that majority threshold, or 50% plus 1 of the vote, then the counting of the rounds begins, where the candidate in last place is eliminated, and then the votes are redistributed to their second choices. So for example, if someone was in last place and I voted for that person, we all voted for that person in last place. Let's say then that person is eliminated. Let's say I voted for candidate D as my second choice. You voted for A, someone else voted for C. Now our votes will be redistributed based on who we picked as second choice on that ballot. And so then in this process will continue until they get to the top 2 candidates.
Okay, okay, thank you, Nicole. So now for the very articulate. So now let's break it down for a look for the real layman people. Now, if I'm voting for Al Taylor, I'm running against Al Taylor. No, I'm not. Okay, help me break this down. Eric Adams, Andrew Yang, Scott Stringer, and then now you may have City Council, Bill Foster, Willie Walker, Al Taylor, Nicole, and then you might have some other people running for office. Right. How does that vote now? If you win, how does the people that voted for me, like if I was second, the numbers go to you, or now break that down for me, please.
So it's a situation. Let's say all 4 of us are running for a particular office,
right?
And we're all running. They count up all the first choice votes. And so the first choice votes are basically like your favorite candidate. So there'll be 5 columns. Your first choice is where you identify your main favorite candidate. The second choice is the solid backup. The third and fourth choices, you don't like them as much as the first 2, but they may also align with your values. And then the 5th choice is like the person where if all 4 were eliminated, they're kind of like that last person, like, okay, I'll take them if the other 4 are eliminated.
All right.
So really how RCV works is a process of elimination, sometimes referred to as instant runoff, where your first person doesn't make it, then your vote moves to your second person. If your second person doesn't make it, it goes to your third. And the elimination each round is based on who has the least amount of votes in that particular election.
Good. Okay, awesome. So, everybody, I'm gonna bring Willie Walker in. How do you feel about ranked choice voting? Do you think it's something good? Because I know you and I were talking earlier about a lot of times people of color are not real knowledgeable with things like this. So give us your insight, sir.
Well, it's new. And one thing you have to remember now, if I get 50%, I win. I don't have to go through all of the process of your second, third, and fourth choice. 50%, you win outright.
That's correct. Majority, 50% plus 1.
Yeah, so the majority wins. So you don't have to go through your second, third to find out if you're going to get enough votes from a second choice or their third choice of you. It's complicated because people don't understand. When they start understanding and get a ballot, they can simply put it down. And, it's like absentee. You can put it down. You get a chance to look at it at home. You could get a chance to study it. And once you do, it's a lot easier to do it that way. It's something that's new that people don't understand. And we have to get used to it. But what it does, it gives people that never really had a chance, an opportunity to be on the ballot, right? And an opportunity to win. You don't always have to be the most popular person to win. If you're looking at how the ranked choice goes, you could be the second choice and actually win the in that particular voting block. So if I'm in the primary and I'm number 2 or number 3, I could actually win that primary. So it's something that people have to really understand, and they can't pass it up because it's important that we do vote, that we get out and vote.
Thank you. Everybody out there understand, and Al, come in on this. Early voting starts, I think, June 10th, which is right around the corner. Please, New York, it is imperative that you get out and vote right now. I mean, Real Talk Chronicles is all over the world, but we're concentrating on New York because I am from New York. I will be voting in New York. Malika and I will, and I will, like I said, talk about who I am going for as the mayoral candidate in my eye, and we'll talk about that too. Al, ranked choice voting, how do you feel about it? Got to unmute yourself, Al. Oh, okay, we lost him again. So, Nicole, it doesn't hurt for early voting for ranked choice voting, right? Not at all.
No, it doesn't. And actually, just a few things based off of what Willie Walker said. So early voting begins Saturday, June 12th. So everybody get ready Saturday, June 12th. But something that he mentioned is very key. You can view your sample ballot right now, and I can share those links. You can go to findmypollsite.vote.nyc. You can go to voting.nyc, vote.nyc. These are resources that we should all be reviewing now. You can view your sample ballot by typing in your address, checking your political party, and you can see exactly, you receive a PDF of your ballot. You'll see exactly what it will look like on election day so that you can be prepared to vote. We also at rankthevote.nyc.org. That information also is available there. We have mock elections that people can see and kind of have an idea of how ranked choice voting will work. We also have PowerPoint presentations, one-pagers that explain RCV. The other thing that is often said is that, ranked choice voting is used in about 17 other cities and 3 states. And the numbers is growing of the number of people and cities and states that are using ranked choice voting. It has been said that more women and people of color have been elected now under the ranked choice voting system. In these other areas, we still have time. We need to see what's going to happen in New York City. But that is what the results have been in other places across the country that use ranked choice voting. But I would love to encourage people to view their sample ballot now. Go to vote.nyc, voting.nyc, find my poll site.vote.nyc. These resources are available. You can also learn about candidates that are on the ballot as well. So this is a lot of information. Again, I will share these links in the Facebook chat as well as in the YouTube chat so that people can find the resources to vote.
That's awesome. Thank you. Go ahead, go ahead, please.
Everybody is hyped up about the mayoral candidate and election. Please don't forget, you have city council. That local part of it is so important as far as what resources you get into your community. When you're looking at city council, and it's so important because they are directly in your community. Those are people within your area that could get funds to get things done in your area. So please don't pass that. Make sure you vote in those other elections as well as the mayoral candidate, because if you're only looking for mayoral, you're losing out on some of the most important elections areas that we're having. So please stress to people, don't just look for the mayoral race, but look for all of it because all of it is important. There's some bills there that are important.
I want you to chime in a little more on what you just said, and Nicole, you can piggyback on this. Please let people know how these other candidates, like you said, city council and advocates and things like that are just important. With that being said, I see, hold on, Sammy Ravello is in the building. Hey, Bill, what's up? Hello, Uncle Willie and Assemblyman Al Taylor and hi, Nicole. Bronxboro, and he's running. He made the ballot, and he's against Vanessa Gibson and Fernando Cabrera. I will personally be giving my endorsement to Sammy.
Well,
to say I'm endorsing you.
If you're endorsing it, you have to. If it's for city council, you'll actually have to be in his district to vote for him, because you could only vote for the city council within your district. So if you're in his district, you could vote for him.
Uncle,
if you're not in his district.
No, I know that, Uncle, but I was just telling everybody out there that's listening that live in the Bronx, that I am personally of the man. So with that be saying, Sue, and all these other, like you said, you just mentioned earlier, then Nicole, you can come in after him, about all these other people that run on the ballot, how important it is to vote for them too.
Yeah, so I mean, in addition, so it's we have mayor, we have city council, we have borough president, we have our public advocate, we also have our controller. In addition to that, there are also some races. These are non-ranked choice voting, but in Manhattan, if you're a registered Democrat, we're going to elect a new district attorney as well. So we have a primary for district attorney. There are also some areas where judges the race, but depends on where you are in the city. There's also judicial delegates on the ballot. So we have our borough president. They have important functions around land use, and they make the appointments to the community board. We have our controller who manages all contracts and the now it's nicer the retirement funds. So they manage all the retirement funds, and every contract that New York City undertakes goes through the controller's office. They are the watchdog over the finances of the city. Then we have our public advocate, who is our voice, who advocates for us, our city's ombudsman. In addition, and again, and then we talked about the council people earlier. They're that local person on the ground. And what, Willie Walker said is very true. That local council person, they also have oversight over every city agency. They're the ones that can help direct you if you're having a problem, question, or concern. You have your potholes. They work in conjunction also with our local community boards. But if you need something, that council person is the first line that you can communicate with, that can help direct you to the services and resources that you need and get answers to your questions from our city agencies.
Awesome. Al, are you here with us, yes. Al Taylor?
Is that better?
Good. Yes, it's awesome, Al. It's awesome. It's perfect. So, Al, we were talking about ranked choice voting. How do you feel about it? Again, Uncle was talking about how
it's definitely important. And as Uncle Willie said, it's new, so we have to get acclimated to it. And then there's always the question, well, why wasn't there more attention to this? Who is responsible for sharing the message? So I think Sister Nicole Yearwood and the team of folks that are out there sharing this. But that information is something that I believe the finance department, finance board is supposed to have pushed this out. So there are different entities that are responsible for it. But the other side of that, the argument would be, well, if they really wanted us to know, they would let us know. They're keeping us in the dark. People complain about everything. But unless you're in it, you can't win it. You've got 5 times to vote for someone, do something. And every time there's a presidential immediately following there's a drop off of the participation, because people on the local level still don't understand. Most people don't understand the significance of getting in it, whether it's dog catcher. You want to exercise your vote. And one of the things that people criticized the orange guy for was that he was appointing so many judges, because those judgeships have been left open. They were not taken care of. So we have to do our business on the ground first. Our district leaders that are there, your district delegates that are on the list. And each borough is different. And as Sister Nicole said, we have a district attorney that's running in Manhattan that can possibly make history for the first time ever in the state of New York. So it's important that we get involved in the process. And I always tell people, decisions are being made about you from the time you were born to the time you die. So you might as well get involved in the political process, because people making decisions about your life. Why do you sit on the side and say nothing or do nothing and then complain later?
And Al, I think if you're talking about Alvin Bragg running for district attorney of the city county of New York, Manhattan, and I think you already had endorsed him, correct? And I was trying to get Al on tonight, and I don't know if he will chime in. I wanted to give him my personal endorsement I've worked with him. I've been on daises with him. We've spoke about police reform, and not so much just police reform and things that they can do and can't do. But Al is a man of color and integrity, and I support him on that. So I wanted to give him my personal endorsement. You did it the first time we had him on the show, so I wanted to give him that. Also, I want to bring Nicole and my uncle back in on this. You know, with so much, let's talk about the mayoral race if you can, Nicole. I don't want to put you in certain situations that you can and can't be in, but Uncle and Al, I want to talk about these. There's a lot of people out here in this primary right now. Rick's trying to get this vote. You know, right now, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Al or Willie, that I think Eric is in the lead, and I don't know if Ms. Garcia or Andrew Lang is slipping. I don't know where Scott Stringer's at, and I don't know McBride. I think he's falling off the chart. What will cause you to vote for now, Al? I have to put you. I'm gonna put you on the carpet, Al, the Real Talk carpet. You already endorsed Scott Stringer. Can you elaborate why you did that? And if he doesn't win, who would you be putting your vote behind? Go ahead. You're muted. You're muted. You're muted.
Sorry, I only heard pieces of what you said. So it says something about don't want to put me on the spot, and then Scott. Then what?
Okay, so what I was saying is we were talking about endorsements. I said the primary is kind of thick and it's hot and heavy. And I said right now I think Eric Adams is in the lead. I don't know where Andrew Lang is at. And I don't even know where Scott Stringer is at. Also, I know from the teachers union, from people that I spoke, a lot of the teachers didn't want to endorse him. So they were in arms about that. I said, you have gone on the record endorsing Scott Stringer. So I said, I'm putting you on the Real Talk carpet, Real Talk carpet, and say, if Scott doesn't win, who will you be endorsing, and why did you endorse him in the first place? And then Uncle and Nicole, you can chime in after.
Oh, cool. Yeah. So why did I vote? Why did I select Scott as my first choice? I thought he was qualified to do the work. The commitment that I made to Scott was before I saw all the other candidates that are in the field. There turned out to be something like 12 or 14 of them eventually. But at the time that I made that commitment to Scott, those folks weren't there. And so when I spoke to Borough President Adams, I had no problems with him being my second choice. So it was pretty simple. And if you've watched this race, it's gone for like who's on first, what's on second. We don't really know what's there. I mean, there's a projection that it looks like Adams is number one. And I would say that I'm almost inclined to believe that, because you can see how the others are reacting around him. Like Yang is in the attack mode. And as long as he's in that attack mode, I'm doing 15 things. So when you see folks attacking, it looks like they know something that we don't. And I think where Yang may have been the one guy, he's not the one anymore. And if you look, Commissioner Garcia has elevated, but I don't know what the endorsement from AOC has done for Wiley. So it's still all these moving parts. And at the end of the day, I think what we started out with the ranked choice voting is going to be really interesting to see where all this lays, where it ends up in terms of what people know when they're sitting at the table and they're writing down who they think are favorites versus who they know. Who are the people that are polling and how well are they giving this information? Typically in our neighborhoods, most folks don't poll or they don't do it, straight out the box. So it's going to be interesting to see who becomes one and who's two. I think we'll all be surprised.
Okay, Uncle, come in. What's your take?
I'm not going to be surprised, and because I was with Eric from the very beginning, I have seen Scott be elected, but he never had a race. He always went for an open seat. Scott has never done anything but talk to you when he's running for office, and he never done anything when he got into office. He's never done anything in our community, and I know him well. I'm voting for Eric, and let me tell you something. I saw the debate. When you look at the debate, I don't want to vote for somebody that can't manage time. How can you manage the city if you can't manage your time and follow instructions? They say you got 2 minutes. You got 2 minutes. That don't mean that you got other people 2 minutes and other people time. We have to actually look at how we control ourselves. If you can't control yourself and your mouth at a critical time, how can you control the city? And when you voted, when you sponsored Scott Stringer, I was floored. I have always been a champion with you. I've given fundraisers, whatever you needed, right? I couldn't understand that because I can understand people voted for Scott because he was comptroller, but not because he done anything at all in all the offices that he's been in. One of the things we need to look at too is public advocate, right? That is a very important position because they are in line to be mayor if things happen. And we need to understand these things when we go to vote. It's there. The information is there. If a person can't read and don't understand it, tell them what it is. Walk them hand to hand. Walk them in these things, right? But we need to make sure that people get out and vote. And I can't tell you who the right person to vote for, but I damn sure can tell you who I'm supporting. And he is the front runner as of today. And he will win the race. He won't win 50%, but he's that popular. He may.
Nicole, I'm going to let you chime in if you want to, and then Al, I'll let you.
I didn't hear the last
rebuttal what Uncle would say. He was saying basically, Uncle, you want to repeat it? Go ahead.
Yeah, I actually said that when people start looking at public advocate, that's a very important position because those people are in line to be mayor if something happened, right? Yeah. And so we need to look at that and make sure that we're looking at the right people. And when we talk about DA, we're talking about all the important people that control this city is being elected. All the city council being elected. We got new people in the city council today that's going to be elected. Let me tell you something that we don't understand. When we start looking at what the rules and regulations that the city council put on NYPD, and I'm not an NYPD person, but the rules and regulations that people put forth are people that are not people that have written laws before. These people didn't understand a lot about how law run, but they voted for things on their emotion and their feelings. I'm not a proponent of stop, question, and frisk. What I am a proponent of, what police did in a time like this, Bill, and I really need to say this. The law said stop, question, and frisk. The police shot themselves in the foot because they never questioned. They stopped, they frisked, and they did that to anybody that came along, right? So we have a lot of people out there that's carrying guns, carrying knives, and it has gone up because there's no one to stop them or say and look and see if they have a weapon. I saw the mayor today talk about the crime in the city. He is partially responsible for this. This mayor released thousands of people from rackets into our community. Let me tell you what that meant. That meant that they came back in the community, that they was caught doing crime, and they came back as a better criminal than they did when they went away. And he's pointing fingers at everything that happened in this city, but he's not pointing his finger at thousands of people that he put into this community that came from Rikers Island. And he's saying the crime is up. Yes, it is up. They're better criminals. And he can't control it. So we look at so many things and we talk about so much garbage, but we're not looking at the picture and who's responsible for this going on. And I may sound angry, and you know what? Because I am. And I'm angry about people that—
It's all right. It's real talk. It's real talk. It's all right to be angry, Uncle.
People are always complaining about things going up, but they're not doing a damn thing to stop it.
Right.
That's
right.
excellent.
And you know what's so funny? Hold on, Al. Uncle, I hope when you get a chance, you can get your screen together because people need to see your face, your handsome face. But you know what's so funny? We're going to open this discussion up a little bit. Al, Al, go ahead.
I just changed. There it is.
Is he there?
There he is. Go ahead, Al. Say what you wanted to say, and then Nicole, please jump in when you get a chance.
No,
sister. Go ahead, Al.
I feel the frustration that Uncle Willie articulated. How do you say this politely? You know, there is a.
Are you correct?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Right?
Okay. Who, me?
Yeah.
No, I'm just.
Right. Give him a napkin, Bill.
No, I'm just thinking about how to say this, Uncle Willie.
Yo, Al, he thought you was crying. Now, Al ain't crying. Al, because the bottom line is Uncle definitely asked you some questions and discussions, and he made some statements about how he felt you voted for Scott Stringer. In lieu of that, we could definitely talk about crime because we know public safety is paramount right now. And
but no,
you know, there's so many other—
I wanted to speak to that.
Go ahead.
Absolutely. Uncle
Go
Willie
ahead.
has always been 1,000. My number one supporter out of the hood, straight up, out the door, out the box. So he is never a problem. I don't have to stutter when I speak to him. I love him, and he brings it straight with no chaser. I was speaking to the point with the I concur with him about the inability or the inaction on so many people, because in the midnight hour at 6 a.m, when I'm on the streets trying to see how do we transform, like there is a disconnect between the people that are yelling what they want and versus the people that are actually rolling up their sleeves and being on the street doing the work when it comes to the individuals in our community. So if we don't want stop and frisk for certainly, and if you're going to do it, then you have to do it in a different way than what they were doing. So it was all black. But the problem that I'm having is there are situations in our community, and I'm speaking to the individuals like, hey, and it's just growing. It is growing like, hey, it's a free day at the carnival. You get the popcorn, you get everything. And I see it. And when I'm speaking to some of the law enforcement, I get their position is that they don't want to do something that's going to be explosive. I'm saying, listen, you are paid to serve our community. I'm not asking you to do anything that I'm not willing to do. And what I find is there are people that don't do anything but get in front of cameras and microphones, and that's the only time you're going to see them. But when it's late at night and there's beef on the streets, they're not on our streets. And we're elected. I'm not saying we're elected to be cops or solve those problems, but we have to be part of the solution and not wait for something to drop in our laps to fix what needs to be fixed. Some of the public safety stuff that we can do, we need to be about doing those things. And some folks that get the checks that say, this check is for intervention or whatever, cure violence. And it seems like it's only happening that they're following ambulances after it happens. But where is the grind before there's an incident? Did I get lost?
Nicole, I want you to come in because this is Real Talk, Nicole, and you're always welcome. Now, Nicole, let me just say this. Once you're invited to Real Talk, you're always welcome to come back anytime you want. But this is what happens here when we're having real conversation and we bring in our opinions and facts into play. Yeah, right. Unscripted. So please just chime in if you can, without, you know,
I have a couple of things that were stated. So I'll say this. So regarding the polls, so we see the results of the poll the results came out today. So the poll was taken last week. So when we see the results, the data is probably about a week old. So we won't know if the AOC endorsement of Maya Wiley will have an impact until there's another poll done. So we probably won't see those results until, you know, a few days, probably next week. So that's one. In talking about educating around ranked choice voting, Assemblyman Taylor mentioned the Campaign Finance Board. So NYC Votes, their website, voting.nyc, which is one of the ones I shared, is actually one of the partners who is working to educate. I just want to make sure that people are reading the mail that they're receiving at home around voting. They just sent the voter guide to homes. This was sent out in April. Again, this has an example of ranked choice voting. The website, vote.nyc, the Board of Elections website. We get information, and this is the reason why I started this. We have information coming to our homes about voting, and it bothers me when I look in a trash can in the mailbox and I see that people are just throwing it away. And then we say that we are not informed. This information was sent to you. It went to every registered voter. So we have to look out for that. That's from the Campaign Finance Board and NYC Votes. There's a voter guide with information on candidates. This also contains the information to your early voting site, your election day poll site, the times, the dates for early voting, even for the general election. So again, if you received this, and if you didn't, or if you threw it out, you go to the website, vote.nyc, voting.nyc. The other thing, and what what he said earlier was very important, what Willie Walker said, these local offices. So we have, because of term limits, this has increased the turnover in our government. This election and in this primary, we are sending forward the candidates who are going to go and be in and participate in the general election in the Democratic and Republican primaries. These are the people who are basically going to run our city for the next 2 to 4 years. In these types of elections, turnout is usually extremely low. We are talking about 14%, 20%. It is imperative that we talk to our neighbors, our friends, our relatives, because this is a very important election cycle. We need to increase our voter turnout if we want to shape our city and our city government. This type of election season happens every 20 years when we basically have more than 30 of our 51 city council members are going to be brand new. We're going to have a brand new mayor, brand new comptroller. Jumaane Williams is running for re-election as the public advocate. He is next. The public advocate is next in line of succession to the mayor. A lot of people don't know that. So I just wanted to echo and highlight some of those key points and make sure we understand information about voting is available to us. Just we have to sometimes seek it out. And when it comes to us, we got to make sure we read it. But there's something coming to your mailbox, if it hasn't already, the voter guide, or visit voting.nyc and vote.nyc for information to be ready to vote.
And Nicole, thank you so much for keep putting that out there. And as long as you're with us tonight, please keep putting that information out there. When we talked about the public advocate, we definitely talked about Jumaane Williams. I have another individual. I don't know if he's watching. I know it's his birthday, so he might be doing something. But Tony Herbert is running for public advocate against Jumaane Williams, and he's got all the endorsements from all the police unions. So I personally, Tony Herbert and I have been friends over 30 years, and I'm putting my support behind Tony Herbert. They talked about how Jumaane has talked about housing and other niches and things like that, but he lives on Fort Hamilton on the Army base. A lot of things that he's been there for a long time, but I know a lot of things that he is conversing about about defunding law enforcement and stuff like that. So I just wanted to say that. Tony, if you're around, please just let us know. I have some questions. This is Real Talk Chronicles, everybody, and this is what we do. This is Real Talk with our Assemblyman Al Taylor. I have our special guest, Nicole Yearwood, and I have my mentor and my favorite uncle in the world, who I love dearly, Willie Walker, in the building with us, and he's ready to get it in, Dave. Right, Unc? This is Real Talk tonight, right, Unc?
Yes, it is.
There you go. So I just want to read some questions and some comments, and then we can open it up. But Al, we're going to come back to you and Nicole and Unc. I got my man Erwin chiming in from Europe. I appreciate you. Stephanie said, see, one of the main issues for me is the rise in gun violence. As I'm watching this show, I just got a notification of another shooting in Brooklyn. The third notification I've gotten today. Let me read the rest of it. I apologize when it says see more. I've got today, hours apart. We need something to change. We need help. Mark, he said, question, with Eric Adams bring some order back to the NYPD? If so, how? If asked, would you join his administration in some form? Uncle Willie, dog walking people. Mark also said, how do you feel the relationship between Pat Lynch would be with Eric Adams? That's a good question. We're going to talk about that. I'm going to read those questions again, but I'm going to answer the questions, the statements they made about stop, question, frisk, and I'll chime in on the Pat Lynch situation, because to my knowledge, I don't think he got any endorsements from NYPD. And for those who don't know, Eric Adams is a former captain in the NYPD. That's how I know him personally. But anybody want to take the start question from Steph? She said, one of the most issues for me is the rise in gun violence. As I'm watching the show, I just got a notification about another shooting in Brooklyn. The third notification I've gotten today, hours apart. Al, I'll let you go first, and Nicole, and then I'll let you come in, Uncle. Al, you're muted. You're muted. You're muted. Go ahead. Unmute yourself.
Okay, can you, is it better?
Go. Yeah, we got you now. Go ahead, Al. Go ahead, Al.
Okay.
Yeah.
So my understanding is that there was 3 reported shootings since she started talking with us.
Yes.
Gun. I don't know.
Yep. You're breaking up. Keep doing.
This is crazy.
Go.
Sorry.
That's all right. We had you. Yes, go.
I'm taking a photo off. Maybe the audio will get a little bit better. I don't know, because the signal is weak. Am I coming in better?
Yes. Keep talking. Don't stop.
Okay,
Go.
great. It's off the chain. We need relief in a big way, and I think some of the stuff that has been taken off the table, and I think it was in the city council, is the what was it? There was a unit that Eric Adams said that he wanted to bring back, and they are the unit that's responsible for going after guns, buying, selling, and transporting.
Street crime.
That
crime.
unit.
Yeah.
I think from the evidence that we've seen in the city, that would be a big plus because it's missing. But now on the national level, it's still, gun violence is up. We're in at over 200 mass shootings since January across the nation.
Yeah, very much so. Nicole, chime in, and then Uncle close it out, and I'll say what I have to say. Go ahead, Nicole.
No, I mean, they're saying that, it's about how we feel. So they're saying that the statistics in New York City, the crime is not necessarily up according to the stats, but for some reason, we as New Yorkers seem to be feeling less safe. And I know, in our community, we're uptown, and it just seems like a lot is happening for me. for me.
Yeah.
And so
we all are Harlem residents, and we definitely understand. We don't care what the statistics are saying. We know, we see the shootings, we see the stabbings, we hear, like, I think my uncle Al and myself, definitely we get statistics on certain things dealing with violence and gun. But I just want you all to express your feelings on that. And I'm sure that's, for me personally, that's very important. The next mayor of public safety has to address that.
Yeah.
That is a prominent issue, because we already know the mayor that's in office just let it go amok. You know what I'm saying? I'm going old school with that. He just let it just go haywire.
I mean, and one of the things that's,
go ahead, Nicole. I'll let you finish.
Okay, I just finished. One of the candidates did say, we want the city to come back. We want tourism. We want to bring back, the vibrancy that is New York, that we kind of lost a little bit during the pandemic. And if people don't feel safe, is that going to come back? So, I think that's important.
Unc, Willie Walker, what's your take on it?
First of all, you can't buy something that's not available. Right. And if the powers to be doesn't stop guns from coming into the city, you can't buy them. We buy them because they're available. I talked to a young man, he must have been 16 years old, that said he had a Glock. And I said, did you ever shoot it? He said, no, I never shot it. That's why people, listen, the safest place for a person with a gun is 15 feet in front of them. They'll hit everything but you. So we have to stop guns from coming into the city. It comes into the city in a way that is unbelievable. And young kids are able to buy them. We don't make the guns. So we don't distribute the guns the way they come into the city. So the people that are doing this have to be, something has to happen to them. They have to be curtailed from doing this. As far as the guns in the city today, and the shootings that we have today, there is no deterrent for a person to carry a gun or a knife. Listen, I said before, I'm not a proponent of stop, question, and frisk, stop and frisk, I'm saying. But I was a proponent of stop, question, and frisk. And the police shot themselves in the foot by not looking at the questioning first and not looking at the people that they were stopping. So because of the racial issue, they just stopped minority people and they went to jail for things that they should have never gone to jail for. So cops shot themselves in the foot. What we need to do now is stop that. Who has the ability to do that? Listen to Maya Wiley. While she said that she got the answers to this. She was on the civilian review board for the chair of it and did absolutely nothing. And if she didn't do something when she was on the civilian review board, what can she do now but run her mouth about public safety? We need people that understand the problem in public safety, understand what the cops are doing or not doing. We talk about Pat Lynch is doing what Pat Lynch does. He's in charge of a union. So even if this person shot somebody and he know they was guilty, he's going to try to get them off. So you can't blame him for being the president of the Police Benevolence Association, because that's his job. No, they're not supporting Eric Adams, but the fire department is. And the reason they're not supporting him is because he understands them better than anybody.
Awesome. Thank you. When we talk about stop, question, and frisk, and I'm going to read Mark's statement. Everybody, this is Real Talk Chronicles. I'm your host, Bill Foster, with my co-host, Al Taylor. This is Real Talk with Assemblyman Al Taylor. We have a special guest, Nicole Yearwood, with us. And I have this special, one of the closest men to my heart, my uncle, Willie Walker, a Harlemite. And we're just sitting here and we're conversing. We're having real talk. This is what Real Talk is all about. So if you're on Facebook, share it. If you're on YouTube, subscribe to it, like it, and let people know what we're conversing about and talking. When we start talking about stop, question, and frisk, because I definitely know, being a prior law enforcement officer, it's a necessary evil, as I've always said. Like my uncle always said, they stopped the question aspect. They just stopped and frisk. And it was harassing people of color. You weren't stopping the guy on the corner that was been there for 12 hours. You were stopping people like all of us, the four of us walking down the street. With that being said, it was a quotas game. That's what really deterred it. Now we had to stop. I know personally, because That's what it had to do. We had to start putting that became part of the sheet when we filled out our activity for the month. How many 250s did you use? That's what we called it within the police department. How many 250s did you use? So now it became something to put on paper as activity in lieu of doing it just because you're supposed to do it. That being said, Mark asked you a question, Al. He said, Al, I'm not from New York, but I live in Jersey. Through Real Talk, I understand your past experience in law enforcement in the Army. With that said, how could Stringer bring real law enforcement back to the city? I'll read it again. You're muted.
Yeah, say the last part again.
He said, with that said, how could Stringer bring some real law enforcement back to the city? Since you endorsed him, that's what he wants to know.
How can Scott bring
real law enforcement back to New York City? I guess, put a dent in crime.
I think there's going to be a number of reasons, ways that he could possibly do that. One is, I think on the state side and on the federal side, I think Uncle Willie alluded to that with needing to stop these guns from hitting the city. But there's going to have to be more money poured out here, not just money to say, well, I gave you something, but money where there's folks on the ground that are helping to identify. I think it was suggested that you or Uncle Willie said that it's Uncle Willie, that there's a missing of the ask. So I was stopped by officers for the stop and frisk, but to your point, I wasn't stopped because I was one of the guys on the corner doing something. I was in a suit going somewhere else, but I was interrupted. So I think what Scott can bring to the table is his years of experience that hopefully that can I don't want to say the word is not migrate through, but bring leadership where there's a conversation. I think someone mentioned what's the possibilities of what Borough President Eric can bring to the table with it's a union, Pat, the union leader, in their discussions. And yes, the leader
Lynch,
for the union, his responsibility is to stand behind his people, but there has to be middle ground. And I think Scott can provide that middle ground in that space. So that would be part of my answer there.
Go ahead, Unc. I know you wanted to come in. Go ahead, Unc, and then Nicole follow after Unc. Go ahead.
And what you think he's gonna get that middle ground from? He been there. He been in the state elected. He been city elected like 16, 17, 18, 19 times. Years. What tell me one thing that's done to deter anything? Please let me know what that is, because I'm going to beat the bandwagon for him if you could tell me something. Because I can cite a number of things that Scott was responsible for not doing and should have done. Hello? Al?
I didn't come prepared to defend Scott tonight. I apologize. I should have an answer better than that.
I know you didn't, Al.
I didn't.
Al, listen, look, my brother, I know you didn't come prepared. Al, I know you didn't come prepared, but anytime I'm going to be on the forum, always be prepared.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And there's no excuse. So we're clear. There is no excuse. I'm not making an excuse. I'm just saying I wasn't prepared to answer.
Right.
So on that question, my apologies to Real Talk, but what you get at Real Talk is Real Talk. It's not scripted. It is what it is.
Well, the beautiful, let me just interject for the beautiful thing about Real Talk. And Nicole, like I said, you're with us now, so you understand how Real Talk is going.
All day long. And
everybody out there that's listening, after Real Talk is Real Talk, we will put each other on the carpet, and there isn't anything wrong with that, and that's why my uncle is my guru. Al is my co-host for this, and Nicole, like I said, you're always welcome to come back, especially on these kind of forums and platforms. I say all that to say that, we have to vote for what's best for us, and Al is a politician, but from a politician standpoint, we can put him on the carpet. And that's what it is. The bottom line is, as a co-host, with this show, doesn't mean he's exempt from getting answering questions that people want to know.
Hey, Bill,
yes, sir.
I'm actually speaking to the people that are typing and chatting and listening. This doesn't change who we are in this space. It is what it is, and be prepared.
Right.
So thank you.
And we're still family.
No, that exactly. Absolutely. And here's the thing, and I appreciate this. And I have to speak to the audience. I should have been better prepared, but more importantly, if the people that care and love you and support you can't speak into you, then you need to get a different bunch of people around you that care and love and support you.
Absolutely. Nicole, do you want to chime in before I go to the next question? Anything you want to say?
No, I have nothing to add to that one.
Nicole, you say when to stay in the house and not come up with that smoke, right? Let's just let that go, right? Everybody, this is Real Talk Chronicles. I'm your host, Bill Forster, with my co-host, This is Real Talk Chronicles, everybody. I'm your host, Bill Forster. I'm with my co-host, Assemblyman Al Taylor. This is Real Talk with Assemblyman Al Taylor. I have the lovely Nicole Yearwood in the building, educating us on choice voting. We will get back to that too, just before, as she gives us insight to keep giving us information where we can understand the ballots and things of that. And of course, we have the Harlem Knight himself, my uncle, my guru, Willie Walker, dropping knowledge like only Uncle can, keeping it real. I have a question in. Mark said, this is for all. Who best fit to get education for these kids in the inner city schools? Al, I'll go with you. Nicole, and then I'll go with you, Uncle.
Ask that again.
Can you hear me?
Who's best fit to get education for these kids in the inner city schools?
Who is best fit to do education in the schools?
Now, let me just say this. I've spoken to multiple teachers. The union, like the police did for Trump, they supported without asking the permission from their constituents, and they just endorsed them, the union. I'm hearing the same thing that happened for Scott Stringer. Even though the teachers union endorsed him, I'm hearing from the teachers that they didn't co-sign that. So go ahead, Al. With that being said,
what I heard you say is that there's been there's grumbling amongst the ranks that their choice wasn't Scott for UFT support.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
Okay. I don't have an answer for that. I think that's an internal one. The head went and some of the other folks went with it. So I would imagine that there may be some fallout behind that, because when you go to the booth, the ones that make a decision are the ones that are holding that piece of paper in front of them. They have the final say. So I guess that will come out in the wash, whether or not he had their support or he had lip service for that. And what was the other one that was there with him?
Well, then they said who would be the best fit to get education for these kids in the inner city schools?
Of the candidates?
Yes.
I'm gonna say that I'm gonna go with the UFT support and say that Scott could.
All right. Okay. Willie, you want to come in?
Yeah. I think, listen, we need to look for somebody that really understands the school system. If it was my choice, and I hope that he elect somebody like David Banks, who's responsible for the Eagle Academy, who got young people from the streets, put them into school, they're graduating, they're going to college, they're doing wonderful things, right? We need to think outside the box. You want to think about somebody that's already in the system? They're in the system too long to change the system. We need to look for somebody outside the system to change the inside of what's going on, and no one has been able to do that yet. So my choice would be appointing David Banks to run that system, to change that system from within, infiltrate what is wrong in there and change it and make it right for the students of this city who's ill prepared for everything that we're looking at. And everybody can talk about how ill prepared we are, but nobody has done anything to make the difference. That's my choice.
Nicole?
I support that.
I would just, so I like to frame it because, I do nonpartisan, but I would say this. The first thing is mayoral control of schools is up in 2022. So it's going to have to be someone who is prepared to go to Albany and advocate for having mayoral control be renewed and continued. So that's actually the first item of business. One of the first items should be for the mayor is to figure that out, because the session will begin in January. They will need to go up there and get that passed, get that legislation done. And then they'll come, of course, they'll have to figure out who they're going to appoint as a chancellor. I have not looked at everyone's educational policy, so I can't really say who is going to be the best, but I think definitely having an understanding of how it works is actually under the control of the state. So they would have to get that state approval first. And then they also need to make sure they have a good working relationship with the unions that are involved in education. So that could be the teachers union. It could be local 372 as well, paraprofessionals, etc. So everyone involved, they need to have that ability to bring all of those parties together and have a conversation about what's going to be best for our children.
Thank you, Nicole. I appreciate that. Everybody, this is Real Talk Chronicles. I'm your host, Bill Foster, with my co-host, Assemblyman Al Taylor. This is Real Talk with Al Taylor. We have Nicole Yearwood with us, and we have Willie Walker who is the uncle. Mark said, I appreciate you all for sharing your knowledge with us all, particularly Uncle Willie. Yeah, Uncle Willie's the guru. You know what I'm saying? With that being said, I'll ask you, Nicole, then I'll go to Willie. Willie, you got multiple things open, so I don't know which one you want me to talk to. Whenever you come on, I'll guess I'll delete the other one. Well, my question to you all, pretty soon before we get out of here, is that with the new mayor, whomever he is or she is, I mean, we all have our preferences, but what would you like to see them start to do in the first 100 days of office? And I'll go with you first, Nicole. Go ahead.
I think within the first 100 days, one of the things that I'm thinking about, I think what impacts me most is as I begin to venture outside and, because I feel like we're still in this pandemic season, is to deal with we lost something in New York. I went outside, I see a lot of businesses closed. I think we need to look at like all these vacant storefronts that are all over, like they're in our neighborhoods, they're in our, in our quote unquote shopping areas. How are we going to bring back the vibrancy, the flavor that is New York that we lost? What kind of economic development are we going to get into in order to make sure that we bring New York back stronger, better, and just thriving in that life? You know what I mean? Like our small businesses that took a hit, our restaurants,
Yes.
like it's just a totally different. The times that I've been outside, the few times that I've ventured out of the neighborhood to kind of go downtown, to see the shuttered stores, all the, for rent signs. We got to do something to help our businesses, of course, public safety. And third, as I said a few minutes ago, the mayoral control of schools sunsets in June of 2020. I think it's 2022. So they need to also work on that. So within the first 100 days, they need to get that set up.
Thank you, Nicole.
As well. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Uncle Willie Walker, what would you like to see from the next mayor, whomever he or she is?
Well, Bill,
You're muted.
I'm back. Am I not?
Yes.
Bill, can you hear me?
Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
All right.
Yeah, got you.
I think, first of all, we need to look at entrepreneurship. A lot of stores, small businesses, the largest organizations that appoint people to jobs is small business. We need to look at the small entrepreneurs and the small businesses and how do we get those people back into working? How do we get these stores working again and supplied enough to carry? That's what's going to carry the city. Small businesses, not the Home Depots and things like that, but it's within our community. How do we get those stores back into operation? How do we fund these people to get back to work? And so it's an entrepreneurship that's going to change the city, because that's where the money, that's who's going to hire the most people. And when you hire the most people within your community, that money stays in the community grows. So if you're hiring from out in the community and the money's going outside the community, right, it doesn't help you there. So you need to hire people that live next door, people that live within 2 or 3 blocks, because that money change hands 3 or 4 times within that community, and that's where you're going to see a difference, as far as I'm concerned.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Al?
Okay, can you hear me? I would agree with Nicole. Am I being heard? Hello.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Go ahead, Al.
Okay.
Continue.
I would agree with Nicole and Uncle Willie, certainly, that revving up the businesses would be a great start, especially since before the pandemic, we had a lot of stores closing in our communities off the bat. And I would add, in that first 100 days, that there be some inroads to alleviate the housing crisis, which is creating more homelessness in our communities. That would be me.
Okay. Oh, awesome. Yes, I think for me, I think public safety is very paramount, but I totally concur with all 3 of you that that's what we feel needs to be done in economic growth and that aspect. Before we get out of here, I want to ask you all about City Council in Harlem. What's your feeling with the candidates? I was trying to get one of the other candidates on tonight to talk about his position. I forgot his last name, but his name is Mario. City Council in Harlem is something too. I mean, it's all near and dear to our hearts. I'll start with you, Nicole. I'll go to you, Al, and then I'll go to you, Uncle. Nicole, what's your feelings on the City Council in Harlem?
You know, it's interesting because with ranked choice voting, we have about 13 or 14 people in the race, I believe. And, several of them I know more than 5. So ranked choice voting isn't helping me as much as it should. I think that some of them have been leaders, in the community for some time. I've worked with several of them. So it's going to be a hard decision, but I definitely think this is going to go a few rounds. I don't know if there's a clear, candidate yet. We also have our incumbent running, Bill Perkins. So, there's a lot of people that I know and respect and have worked with that have been helpful, during the census, that have done work during the pandemic, that have had a history of being very active in Harlem and in the community. So I think it may be tough for some of us, I think, to make the choice.
Right. I totally agree with you, Nicole, because I have close friends. I went to college with Will Allen, but he has to answer some questions for me about why he endorsed Andrew Lang. I know Billy Council, he's fresh, but he's new. He's very novice to this. Like I said, I conversed with Mario, and like you said, we have the Bill Perkins, but I think it's time for him to step down. Al, what's your take on this?
I apologize. I'm multitasking. We're in session as well. I would agree. Now we're talking about Harlem, right? Is that the 7th councilman?
Yes, we're talking about yes.
Yeah, there are a bunch of folks
Yes.
that are out there. I have not publicly endorsed any city council members in the 7th or the 10th, but it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. There are some front runners, or people that could be front runners, but it's hard to say. You know, where are they getting that 51% from? Where are they breaking the threshold? And everyone out there has done work and done well. City Council member Bill Perkins has worked hard in his district at his heyday. So that's going to be one of those. I don't think we'll know it until like 3 weeks out, because it's going to take that long to do the paperwork.
Now, Al, I understand that and I respect that you're waiting to see mentality, but whomever gets in office,
Say that again.
what would you like? I said I respect your position that you just said. Right now you haven't endorsed anyone, but whomever gets in office, what do you want to see them do? No matter whoever gets in office, what do you want them to see them? What do you want to see them do?
Well, we just talked about some things that we wanted to see happen in our communities, from entrepreneurship, businesses, housing, alleviating the homelessness, as well as public safety, and unifying our community. So there's work out there for whoever that individual is that wins.
All right. Okay. Thank you, Uncle. Bring it home. Give us your insight. What do you want to see? What's happening in Harlem?
Well, I like to see a city council person actually dealing with their community. I want to see a city council person actually put programs within our community. You can't think of anything the city council have done with programs in our community. Not for children, not for seniors. They get a lot of money. That money go different places, but it never go back to the people that really need it and the people that sponsor and support them. I understand now Gail Brewer is going to run for city council. She's termed out a borough president, but she's going to run for city council. So this is an open door. It's a revolving door for people to make money, but people aren't really stepping up to say, I'm going to make a change in my community. I'll get back to one thing. Al, an assemblyman write laws. I like to see bills written by you about the things that we're talking about today, because you could do that in Albany. Mm-hmm. You could write bills. You could put together things to make law in this city from Albany. I like to see you do that, and I believe you can.
Well, I would love to work you with some of the ideas that you have. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yes.
Okay. It's echoing.
You could make city councilmen responsible for certain things in our community. So it's not who you want to elect, but who's going to do the best job. I don't want a friend in city council. I want the person that's going to do the best job. And I know them all, and they're all friends, but they all can't do the best job.
I agree with you, Uncle, on that. Exactly.
I chime in that, Uncle Willie, that part of this is it goes back down to voter participation, voter awareness, and getting involved in the process. Because what you just mentioned with member Brewer and others like that, this just rotate in and out of different offices. At some point, they don't go there unless the people allow it to happen. And I think when we start to change that narrative, you get different looks at it. So, for example, I think there are probably 50, I'm thinking somewhere up to 50%, close to 50% of city council will change over. And it's people that a lot of them are coming up out of the community that have done a little something or believe that they have something to contribute. So I think we can change the narrative also by more voter education and people participating in the process, in addition to what you suggested.
Anything you want to comment on that? You want to follow up with that, Unc?
Well, like I said, Bill, like I said before, right? We all talked about getting to the poll. right? And to the point, one thing, why don't we just really look at who's to run our district? We got so many people running, and we haven't had a debate with them yet. And everybody's running separately, and everybody talking about in a small way what they will do. They don't have a clue. So how do we get these people together to actually listen? How you can do this? You can put a forum. These candidates sit down and tell us what they're going to do and be questioned.
I was gonna say I have a couple of candidates.
That way we can.
I have a couple of candidates on my Facebook page because there was tonight. There was tonight huddle. And I shared it on my Facebook page, Educated Voter NY, so you can see where they stand, you know, on the issues and what they're saying. I definitely agree regarding candidates forums. And there was a group of us, including the NAACP New York branch, NCNW Manhattan section, NAN Youth Huddle, NYC Votes joined us. New York Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta also participated. We did a series of candidates forums from mayor starting in February through city council that we just wrapped up on May 25th. So if you go to my page, you will see the links to the forums and the live stream of the video to kind of get a better idea. And then I also shared NAN Youth Huddle's City Council District 9 candidates forum as well. Because I definitely believe we need to see and hear from the candidates.
Awesome. Nicole, when you get a chance, send me a friend request so that way you can come in and put all the information in this live, what people need to see and can go to, please. But with that being said, Al, Nicole, and Willie, then I will close out for the evening. Borough President for Manhattan. I know Mark Levine is in there. I forgot the other candidates who's running. Al, what's your take? What are you feeling about the borough president for Manhattan? Are you with me? If not, Nicole, you go first. You go, and then we're talking about borough president for Manhattan. I know Mark Levine is running for borough president of Manhattan. I don't know who the other candidates are right now off the top of my head. What's your take on the borough president of Manhattan? What are you feeling for that race? Al?
Okay, I'm sorry. I was trying to hear what you said, and then I heard the question, but wasn't sure it was for me. The borough president, yes. There are four, right? There's Mark Levine. Oh goodness, is it Brad Holman?
Levine, yeah, Brad Holman. Elizabeth
Holman. Keller. Is it Keller?
Oh yeah, Ben Kalos. Elizabeth Caputo. And then what's her name? Lindsay something.
There's a woman,
Lindsay Boylan.
Right. So Mark has served in city council. I think he's turned out. He's on is that the 10th? That's not the 10th. I'm sorry.
He's on the 9th district.
The council.
That's my district. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, he's turned out. So he has served there. I did endorse him for the borough president race.
Okay, understood. Real quick, you want to say why? And then we'll go to Nicole, and then we'll go to Willie Walker to close out.
You said something else, but I heard you were going to Nicole and Uncle Willie. What did you say before that? Was I supposed to say?
I said, do you just want to give a quick reason why you endorsed him, and then we can go to Nicole.
My term here in the administration and getting things done in our community collectively. So that was the reason I went with him.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Everybody, that's Assemblyman Al Taylor. This is Real Talk with Al Taylor. This is Real Talk, period. We still going around the form because we got to let Nicole Yearwood. Nicole, you got the Real Talk experience. You're always welcome back. I hope you enjoyed it. Like I said, you're always welcome to come back and converse with us, bring us knowledge and insight. I appreciate Al for having you with us tonight. Listen, everybody, the race is real serious right now. Please get out and vote. let's get away from the narrative that people of color do not vote. Let's handle our business. Go ahead, Nicole. Let's give us some insight, please.
So just on the borough president's race, I actually know two people in that race. You know, I know Liz. I worked with her for a long time with DL21C. We also we go back. I'm not gonna say how long because I ain't dating myself. But and then you know I also know Councilman Levine. He was chair of the Parks Committee for some time, and so that's how I met him through his work with that committee, and just of course being he's my mother's councilman, so I know him from the district on the other side of town as well, and just again from seeing him, you know, in the neighborhood and in the community. I haven't made a decision, but the great thing is we do have ranked choice voting. So, you know, we have some options and we get to pick, you know, based on how we prefer. There are about 6 candidates. I also know Councilmember Kalos as well. He's been around in the community and things like that. So, you know, there's definitely some that have been, you know, doing work in Harlem for a couple of years. You know, engaging in partnerships. So I'm looking at everybody and seeing who, you know, who's best to serve us. I think we could have had some additional candidates in that race as well. You know, we had so many in our council race. I was like, somebody could have ran for borough president, but it is what it is. But I definitely hope everybody
Absolutely. Yeah, exactly. Like always, you know, please, you shared your knowledge with me. You shared your knowledge with me. You shared your knowledge with Real Talk. Give us your thoughts on the borough presidency. Some closing marks.
Okay, I want to say I know why Al is Mark Levine, because one of the things that are good is that people that support you support them. And I know for a fact that he supported Al because he did a fundraiser at my house. So I haven't decided who I'm gonna vote for borough president. But we need to be very clear about one thing. The things that happen in your community that make a difference is housing. Borough president is directly responsible for the land and the properties within their borough. So we need to look at people that aren't going to sell out to the large developers and things like that. In Central Harlem, when I was chair of Board 10, we got historically charted that there are no new construction higher than 14 stories. So you can make a change if you want to make a change, because borough president appoint 90% of the people or 75% of the people on their on the community boards. So whoever going to make a difference in your community are going to be appointed by the borough president. So we need to make sure that the borough president understand your borough need to be done in this borough of Manhattan, right? And people that aren't going to sell out to the large developers. So if we're not looking at those things, we're not looking at the proper things to say we're going to vote for somebody for borough president. I don't vote for friends. I vote for people that are going to do the best job.
Thank you. Mutu's awesome. Everybody, this is Real Talk Chronicles. I'm your host, Bill Forster, with my co-host, Assemblyman Al Taylor. We've had Miss Nicole Yearwood with us, and of course, we've had the Harlem Knowledge King, Willie Walker. I just wanted to give him that title, my uncle, which is a blessing. Thank you, everybody, for chiming in and listening to what we had to say. I see you, Colin. Al, anybody want to just give some parting remarks? Listen, what I'm willing to do is try to, as this voting gets closer to the 22nd, try to have special a panel like this, and we're all welcome. Al, I know your schedule is different, but Nicole, Uncle, we're more than welcome to come back. We could just try to pick days when something changes in this election. What do we see? We can come back and just have a little dialogue for a quick hour, just to keep everybody informed of what's happening, because people out there, it's important that you know your history and know your electoral people that are running for office. We have to stay abreast. Let's get away from that narrative that people of color don't vote and we don't want to be involved in this. Let's handle our business. With that being said, this is Real Talk Chronicles. I'm your host, Bill Forster, with Assemblyman Al Taylor. Al, give us something to say before you want to go out. If you want to give us a prayer or anything, just give us some parting affirmation so we can say good night to everybody, please.
Okay, did anyone else want to speak before we pray out? Did we have the time? Closing remark? Did I miss
Nicole?
I just wanted to say I respect you guys a great deal.
I want to say thank you so much for
thank you, Uncle.
Well, thank you so much, Nicole,
Absolutely.
for making yourself available on such super short notice. Super appreciate it. Uncle Willie, thank you so much. Nothing like love in the hood, baby. Listen, you've been listening to Real Talk. This is your boy, Bill Foster, and Assemblymember Al Taylor. We're so glad to be here this evening, and it gets better. So join us. Oh, shoot. It's in July already. And listen, tune in before that so you can get a pace on what's going on with these elections and see at the end of the day. But no matter what you heard here, what's really important that I hope you take away is you must be a part of the process, not just sitting in and having conversation, but rolling up your sleeves and having skin in the game. So if you're already here, you're probably doing that, but maybe talk to 2 or 3 people that are not doing that and get them to be involved in the process. It only gets better as we get involved in it. So thank you all so much for being with us tonight.
Hold on, Al, hold on. Before you pray us out, I want to bring Malika in. We will not be here this Wednesday because June 9th is our anniversary, our 3-year anniversary. So I'm not going to be
Thank you.
And Al, thank you for all, and Uncle, of course. So Nicole, this is my wife. So I ain't gonna mess up on this Wednesday. I won't be here. She just want to come in. And where are you heading?
There's 3 years and counting. A whole lot more to go, right?
Absolutely.
Love you.
Love you. Go ahead, Al.
I'm coming. I'm going to be at your anniversary.
I know you want to say something.
I don't care where your anniversary party is. I'm going to be there. I don't care if it's just the 3 of us.
Awesome. Okay, Al, pray us out. Al, go ahead. You can say anything you want, Al, and pray us out.
+1, man. +2, because I can't go without my wife. But praise God. Listen, let us get out of here. Malika, happy, Dad, what is it, 3 years?
3 years, Al.
Wow.
Everybody, for edification, Al was the individual that married Malika and I.
Wow.
So thank you, Al. Appreciate that's why that's my dog right here. So,
wow.
Yeah. Well, then thank us all. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you all for
it's a beautiful thing.
Getting married and staying married, and that's what's important. Listen, let us pray out. Most gracious Father, we just thank you. We pray blessings upon this family right now, Lord. Here in this space, that you will continue to just grow Malika and Bill closer and closer together as they celebrate their 3rd anniversary of marriage, Father. And Lord, I just want to pause and just lift up the Richburg family, because before I came on, I was informed that a dear friend of mine, Sister Joanne Richburg, my colleague from college, passed away suddenly last night in her sleep. So, Father, we just lift up her son and her sisters and her nieces and nephews. And Father, we just pray that you would comfort that family. And Lord, we just ask that you would bless all of those that are gathered here in this space tonight that have shared this time together. And Lord, and if it got the blood going, then that's a good thing, because that will drive action, positive action. So we thank you for each and every person that's here. We pray blessings upon our sister Nicole, Uncle Willie, Lord, that their lives would be rich and that you would restore all the time that they've ever lost in anything. Just restore and give them strength to continue the journeys and the fight that they bring to it. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Good night, everybody. This is Real Talk Chronicles. We love you. We love you. We're out of here.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.